What if I told you that every country on Earth is in debt? The United States owes over $38 trillion. The European Union, $14 trillion. Japan, nearly $9 trillion. Even oil-rich kingdoms and export powerhouses like Saudi Arabia, Germany, and China owe staggering sums. But here's the paradox no one can quite explain. If everyone owes money, who's the creditor? Who is rich enough, powerful enough, and invisible enough to have the world in their debt? Because this is the part they never teach you in school. Debt is not just a financial burden. Debt is the architecture of the modern world. It determines who rises, who collapses, and who quietly controls everything in between. Tonight, we peel back the curtain on a system built not on cash, but on promises. Promises so large, so old, and so interconnected that when you finally understand who the real creditor is, you'll never see the global economy the same way again. Origins, debt begins with war, not money. To understand how the world drowned in over $315 trillion of debt, we must go back centuries, long before credit cards, online transfers, or Wall Street existed. In 1694, England was running out of something essential: gold. It was locked in a brutal war with France. Wars are expensive, and the king's treasury was empty. So he did something revolutionary. He turned to wealthy merchants and said, "Lend me the money, and I'll pay you interest, backed by future taxes." The merchants agreed. To manage this giant IOU, England created a new institution, the Bank of England. This bank issued government bonds, tradable promises of future payment. It was the birth of modern national debt. France copied it. The Netherlands refined it. And when the United States was born, it adopted the same model to fund its revolution. National debt was no longer a sign of failure. It became a sign of power. The ability to borrow became the ability to rule. Empires once fought over gold. Now they fought over credit. The battlefield had become the balance sheet. Rise, debt becomes the engine of empires. Over the next 3 centuries, government debt evolved from a survival tool into the single most important ingredient for national power, massive infrastructure, debt, railroads, debt, colonial expansion, debt, world wars, debt on a scale humanity had never seen. Debt became the world's most traded commodity. Nations didn't conquer land to extract gold anymore. They issued bonds to extract interest. By the 20th century, the system became truly global. America issued bonds. Japan bought them. Europe loaned money to developing nations. Developing nations reinvested their savings into U.S. and European bonds, a planetary loop of IOUs. A game of hot potato where the potato was made of promises. But the deeper this system grew, the more intertwined it became, until finally the world reached a turning point. Debt wasn't just part of the system, debt became the system. Breaking point, the illusion of repayment. Here's the truth no politician wants to say out loud. No major country on earth plans to repay its debt. Not now, not ever. Government debt is not a loan, it's a rolling contract. Old bonds are paid with new bonds. Interest is paid using taxes, printed money, or more borrowing. The principal is almost never repaid. This isn't a conspiracy, it's policy. Governments roll over their debt forever. Japan has done it for decades, now with debt over 250% of GDP, and yet its borrowing costs remain near zero. Why? Because investors don't expect repayment. They expect the government to renew the deal indefinitely. Government debt is seen as the safest asset in the world, not because it will be repaid, but because everyone believes someone else will always want to buy it next. It's a confidence game, a giant circle. As long as the circle stays unbroken, the global economy lives. If it breaks, everything crashes. Fallout. What happens when trust breaks? We've seen what happens when a country falls out of the circle. Greece, 2010. Debt becomes unpayable. Investors panic. Bond yields explode. The EU and IMF step in, but at a cost. Austerity, unemployment, a lost decade. Argentina. Multiple defaults, currency collapse, chaos on the streets. Sri Lanka. Fuel shortages, government falls. Foreign creditors demand repayment the country can't afford. In each crisis, the creditor suddenly has a face. It could be the IMF, the ECB, a hedge fund in New York, or a sovereign wealth fund in the Middle East. Debt is invisible until it's not. Until payment is demanded. Until the bill comes due. Failed fixes the loop. No one can escape. Global debt grows by another $1 trillion every 100 days. That's faster than global wealth is created. Why? Because debt has become the currency behind all currencies. Governments issue it. Banks multiply it. Investors trade it. Citizens depend on it. Your taxes pay interest. Your pension fund buys government bonds. Your bank uses those bonds as collateral to make more loans. Debt is everywhere. It holds up everything. It is the skeleton of the modern financial world. But the question remains. If every country is in debt, who is the creditor? The answer is uncomfortable reveal. So who's the creditor? The world owes money, not to a single entity, but to a layered system of creditors, each tied to the next layer. 1. Domestic institutions. For the U.S., 2/3 of its debt is owed to American banks, pension funds, mutual funds, insurance companies, and the Federal Reserve. The U.S. owes America. Layer 2. Foreign governments. About $9 trillion is held by foreign nations: Japan, China, the UK, Belgium, Luxembourg. Foreign countries buy U.S. debt to stabilize their own economies. Layer 3. Global markets. Behind every bond is hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds, central banks, global pension systems. These institutions manage tens of trillions. Their decisions can raise or ruin nations. Layer 4. The system itself. And here's the final twist. The ultimate creditor isn't a person or country. It's the system of global finance itself. A self-reinforcing ecosystem where one nation's debt is another's savings, one bank's liability is another's asset, one fund's investment is another's collateral. Pull one thread, and the whole world shakes. The world doesn't owe money to one entity. It owes money to itself. But the benefits of this system are not shared equally. The interest flows upward, from taxpayers to institutions, from workers to asset owners. Debt is not just global, it's hierarchical. It transfers wealth across classes, not just countries. Modern parallels. The pattern repeats. We've seen this movie before. 2008 exposed the fragility of global leverage. And now, we're entering a new chapter. Global debt, $315 trillion. Central banks creating money from thin air. Nations borrowing endlessly. Banks relying on government bonds as collateral citizens, unknowingly funding the system through taxes and inflation. The world economy is a giant web of mutual promises. And like any web, it is strong until it isn't. 3 takeaways. 1. Debt is not an error, it's the design. The global financial system runs on credit creation, not repayment. Debt is the money supply. 2. The world owes itself, but unevenly countries owe each other. But interest benefits institutions, not citizens. Debt enriches the asset holders and burdens the working class. 3. Confidence is the real currency. As long as markets believe governments can roll their debt, the system survives. When confidence breaks, so does the economy. Final warning, or open question. The modern world is built on a delicate illusion that governments will one day repay their debt, but they won't. They can't. And the system doesn't require repayment, only belief. So the real question is, what happens when belief runs out? If this documentary opened your eyes, hit subscribe, click like, and join us for the next episode.